we're good to go, everybody? Okay. I really do have to hire an IT team. Okay, back to the beginning. After I have a sip of wine, because I need one. I went over to the park. I checked things out. I took a look at the books. And here's pictures of 3 of the books that I found. One was, I think, My Daddy's Roommate. The other one is Julie is a Mermaid. Now, anybody who knows about this, mermaids in the UK is a whole issue, a group around supporting, trans and all that sort of thing. And then the other one here is My Cha-Cha is Gay. Now, I'm not sure what Cha-Cha is, but I'm assuming, relative of some kind. I checked through the library of books that they had available there for the kids, and I couldn't see anything that was heterosexual. I couldn't see anything that was the regular family. So anyway, I did my checking there, and then we started. These are the 2 dudes that were telling a story. They weren't dressed too provocatively, except for the fact they're dressed as women. They're doing women face. Now, this is my opinion here, and it, this is the way they came across. Now, this is, let me see, the blue-haired one. This is him, and I think you may have seen this because I've posted it before on the page. This is what he does at night. And there's a comment there about the Boy Scouts. It's a little bit hard to read. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I can't bring it anymore. Feeling my full Boy Scout troop twink fantasy today with this scarf. Okay? So that's one of them that was reading. Okay, the next one is this guy, Lucinda. Check this out. He runs or is involved in beef curtains, and it's take a look at what it is. I don't have to explain to you folks. Okay, Mermaids is a UK trans kids charity lobby group in the UK. Thank you for that. So this is what these guys are all about. Now, I went up afterwards to the, let me bring up their picture again. I went up afterwards to the librarian. I spoke to a couple of people. They put me in touch with the librarian. And I said, who vets these books? And she said, well, we have a group that does it. Well, who is the group and what's their credentials? Do you have any citizens involved in this? And she said, well, why? I said, well, take a look at the books. I said, you have nothing here on heterosexuals. And I said, the stories that these boys told tonight was the only time that a heterosexual family was mentioned at the very beginning, and it was heterosexual penguins. And the only thing that they could do is lay an egg to make a baby. That's all they can do. They didn't go on about any of the other things. So then they're telling a story. They're going on. They're talking about two male penguins who are good friends and they love each other. And of course, there's a couple of female penguins, but the focus is on the 2 male penguins. And one day they got a rock and they tried that, didn't work, and then they found an egg. Now, what animal, bird, mammal just happens to leave their baby for something else to find it? You don't just find an egg. So to me, that's grooming again right there. Just leading the kids down the garden path. And then they talk about hatching the egg. It's like hatching the egg, and it was almost like giving birth to the egg because they were involved in it. You see where all this is going in the background? At least that's the way I see it. And then, so then they moved on, tell the story, everybody was happy, yada, yada, yada. Then they tell a story about the boy princess. The gist of the story is he likes to be dressed up as a princess. Nothing about any females, nothing about a heterosexual family, nothing about that. Just about being a princess and wearing all his fun and sparkly things and all that sort of stuff. Next story was about the boy that likes sparkly things. And in the story, the sister is the mean one because she keeps saying to him when he wants to wear her sparkly bracelets or her skirt or her nail polish, she keeps saying, no, you can't do that. That's for boys. Hear what's going on here? And his parents said, well, that's okay. He can wear it if he wants to. It's no problem. And then something came across to me. You know when we say little boys, oh, let them dress the way they want, it doesn't matter. And I thought, wait a minute, back to truck up. Kids can't just do anything they feel like. No parents can. No people can. None of us can do just what we feel like, can we? And kids learn young that there are boundaries in life, that there are protocols, that there are generally accepted standards that people live by because we live in a society. But according to this book, they throw that out the window. Anyway, it goes on about he gets a skirt, he gets nail polish, he gets sparkly stuff, he gets a tiara. Oh, as soon as I hear tiara, I think of Yaniv. Anyway, and I'm thinking at the end, and they're saying, oh, this is wonderful. They've got 2 sparkly kids now. This is wonderful. And then at the end, the last book that they read, it was about this is okay, that's okay, that's okay, that's. What I found interesting about that book was certain things that are okay for sure were sandwiched around things that aren't necessarily okay, or they're controversial, or that sort of thing. So that's what it was about. Didn't hear anything about heterosexual families or anything like that. Just that it's okay to be that way. It's okay to be what you want. No, it's not. If some people want to be psychopaths or killers, it's not okay to be that. I know my soapbox is out, but I just went through the roof when I had to really hold my calm when I saw this. But what disturbed me too is when I saw the parents. I looked at all the parents, and the children were very young, like babies. I would say, generally speaking, between 9 months and 4, generally speaking. And the parents are taking their kids up there to have pictures taken with the drag queens. Now, they didn't hold them on their laps, which is good. They shouldn't, or any of that sort of stuff. The performance was, kind of low. When I say low key, I mean they were dressed as women. They weren't wearing their evening attire, shall we say. Then at the end, after they did the stories, then they did a performance of dancing and what drag men like to do. So again, I asked myself, is that appropriate? See, these kids don't know enough, really, to see the difference between a male and a female, and that's deliberate, in my estimation, from what I saw this evening. So to me, then I asked the librarian about how do these things get vetted. She said I could go on the website and yet. And I said that I found it very disturbing because it wasn't very diverse. And they said to me, got to plug in my battery here. She said to me, well, we do try to make it very diverse. I said, well, if it was supposed to be diverse, and I understand that, where's the heterosexual in all of this? She didn't have an answer for me. And if you're going to break it into just the gay community alone, it was all about the gays, not the lesbians. And the young female, the girl, the sister in the group of 3 stories was the nasty one because she said that he couldn't wear that or he shouldn't wear that because he's a boy and boys don't do that. So do you see how this gets all groomed? And these kids are like fresh little sponges. They don't know anything. And God help their parents, they don't seem to either. So we got a real problem here, folks. Anyway, if anybody got any questions or whatever, let me just go back up here, and I apologize for the sound. Okay, Mermaid in UK. Oh gosh, somebody says. Now I don't know who this is. See, this is what I see. So if you can click on that eCan Live link and go to the next page and click it, then you'll never have to do it again. Don't get rid of your children's books. You won't be able to replace them. Heather Reisman is Bilderberg. Thank you. You know what? You make an excellent, excellent point. Beef curtains is a very old derogatory term for female genitalia. The labias. My gosh, they are using that name. Yes. Yes. Gosh, this is crazy. Isn't that the whole point of being parents? You set the boundaries. Do a lot of modern parents want to be their children's friends rather than their parents? It would seem that way. And just giving a cursory judgment of what I saw of the parents there tonight, I think that they're not like thinking. You know, plus they get caught up in everybody else is doing it, so I must, if I go against the crowd, I'm going to be like a salmon swimming upstream. I'm not going to fit in. Okay, it's the emperor's new clothes is what it is. Gosh, this is crazy. Isn't that the whole point of being parents? You set the oh yes, just read that, didn't I? Let's see. Surround the lies and perversion with a few truths to try to legitimize the agenda. Absolutely. And that's exactly what this was this evening. Exactly what it was. And I felt like I was like a fish out of water, that I was, am I the only one that sees this? Everybody else was kind of taking it in, not saying anything, just going along with it. And I think that's the problem, folks, is that we have too many people that aren't paying attention to it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to know about it, because if they do, then they're going to have to kind of maybe step up to the plate, or they're maybe going to have to reconsider what they stand for. Do you know what I mean? And I totally get it. For people who are waking up, it's really hard to speak to your friends about this sort of thing, because you could be, pushed aside. You could be ostracized. And believe me, I know what that's like 10 times over. And it's difficult. However, the greater good is always the better thing. We find groups where we can gather, where we have like-mindeds working towards an honest and true and fair goal to protect the children, because these kids just don't know, and they're in the hands of these people that just don't have it. Let's see what this one says. Social contagion again. The parents want to be like others. Absolutely. Now, when you think about it, parents, generally speaking, are young, right? They're in their 20s and 30s, generally speaking. So when you're in those decades or that age range, of course, it's like being a teen. You want to belong. You want to be part of the family, the tribe, or whatever. And to step out and be on your own can be very lonely. But what we have today with the internet is that we don't have to be lonely. I was in that park tonight all by myself, thinking by myself. However, I knew there was a group here of smart, savvy people who are looking to find better ways to peel back the onion on what's really going on. So I didn't feel so alone as I would have when I was going through this stuff in the 90s with the medical industry. So, it's a bit of a different world, and we can make it work for us if we use it right. And this person says, it's confirmation bias. You want to fit in with the majority. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you see, the drag and trans community knows this. They know that they have young parents who are wanting to do that sort of thing. And so, or not wanting, it's just where they are in life. And so they're easy pickings. It's perfect for predatory behavior and thinking. Absolutely perfect. Because, as John Uller has said, if you can bring the parents on side, they'll hand the kids over to you. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Anne, Did you get book titles or a video of any of it? I did get some pictures, the pictures that I showed up front here, Anne, and what I skimmed through was all very much the same, very much the same. It's an agenda to push the gay drag issue. There little to zero heterosexual families in there. A mom, a biological male and a biological female mom. Uh, and here we go with some of the parents may have been indoctrinated in college, so they may be okay with it all. Yes, they may have been, and that's you see that's the problem with college, and that's the problem that Jordan Peterson and a number of academic notables are calling higher learning out on. Higher learning has really got a lot to answer for these days. You know, I'll tell you, if my children were young, if I were back in that position right now, I would encourage them to forget higher learning and go learn a trade, and not gather, you know, a bunch of debt that it's going to take you how many years to pay off, that sort of thing. No, learn a trade and learn various things, do various things. That's what I would tell them, and learn. Never before in time have we had the world's entire bit of information. Call later. The world's entire round of information in one spot from the comfort of your home. Everything's on the internet. You can get a higher education, and I think what was the movie that was with Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting, when he said in the bar with the young people he was going to college with, he said for $2.50 and a library card, I can get an entire education where you spend $150,000. And I remember when he said that, and he said I remember at the time, I thought to myself, you know what, he's right. You just have to be discerning. You just need some guidance. And good parents could give good guidance. And you know, the kids need to be rescued from this. They really, really do. At least in my opinion. Okay, what have we got? Oh, I'm on a live. I'll call you back. Let me see. Some of the parents. Okay, here's one. My wife and I are not parents. Maybe that helps us to see what is going on, but we still care, though. I'm not sure what you mean by you still care. Yeah, people care. If you don't have children yet, if you're planning on having children, oh, please, please, please. This is not a good time. This is, you know, not only with the drag and trans issues, there's the vaccines. The parents are losing their rights in North America, in the UK, and Australia. They're losing their rights to the state. If you do some research on the internet, you'll see where this is going on. It's scary. It's really, really scary. Let's see what Deanna has to say. Thank you for doing this and for keeping me informed. You're most welcome, Deanna. And Anne, Peterson and Paglia are calling out universities, especially the humanities. They're speaking out about it all the time. Yes, they are, and rightfully so. I agree with them. I totally agree with them. And again, Good Will Hunting is a great film. I went to the college. Oh, really? Yeah, it was a great film. It really, really was, from all perspectives. The young people that are new parents grew up with Sesame Street. They're promoting different families. They were promoting different families back in the 90s, i.e. two dads. Well, yeah, it started back then. This didn't just happen overnight. This didn't just happen overnight. You know, but what's happening now is the Trojan horse is in. The doors have been opened, and they're coming out. I think I put it on the thing. They're coming through the front door, the back door, the windows, the chimney. It is full force now, and the problem is there is very big money behind this agenda. So while people are waking up, this is good, but we've got to get more people awake. And the thing is, what we have to look for is solutions. How do we counter it? How do we deal with it? Do we do it in our little postage stamp of the world like I did tonight? You write letters, you go do what you can, you get together with a couple of other people if you can, and you speak out about it so that you don't feel alone. And on the internet here we have, a group of people, and there's several groups of people now who are starting to do this, who are kicking back and saying this has got to stop. We're ruining a generation of children. Besides what's happening in the transgender community, these young people are being pushed by the medical and pharmaceutical companies to, if you think you're the other gender, oh, well, that's probably what you are. Let's line you up for some puberty blockers, and then we'll give you hormone therapy, and we'll do surgeries. John Uhler put up a post on Twitter that broke my heart. And it wasn't the first time I've seen or read something like this. This poor young person transitioned, and once it was done, they left him. They didn't bother with him anymore. And he's so depressed, and he wants his body back. But he'll never get it back. This is what's happening, folks. This is why this is so important. It's because the kids are being ruined. And looking at the bigger picture of this, these bodies are being ruined, and they can't procreate. Back the truck up. Big money's behind this. Transhumanism. It's all part of the agenda, folks. But I simply ache for some of the stories I listen to about these retransitioners. These, they're push these kids, and it starts with this grooming in the drag story hour. I refuse to call them queens. It's the drag story hour where they're grooming the kids really young, so that by the time they get to 8 or whatever, oh, I think I am a boy, or I think I am a girl. I could be a fireman. I could be a snake. I could be a whatever. You know what kids are like. But they take advantage of it, and they're grooming them with all this stuff. And it looks very, legit and fun, and a little bit passive. It's passive aggressive as hell, is what it is. Okay. Let me see. What I meant was that someone once said to me, "You don't have children. What would you know?" Ooh. So what he was saying was that because we don't have children, we don't know what we are talking about. That's not fair. That's not fair. Although having children, it certainly gives you a little bit more credentialing about kids. But there's parents with kids that have children that shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. There's no credentialing as far as I'm concerned with them at all. It's common sense. You have kids or whether you don't. It's common sense, the greater good, using your brain and looking at the bigger picture. And Anne, I meant I went to the college where Good Will Hunting was filmed. Sorry, that's okay, Anne. Well, interesting. That's interesting. That must have been fun for you. Actually, you know what? I was in that film. The lobster scene that Robin Williams is with. Oh, what's his name? They were having dinner out one night. If you look way in the background, behind the lobster trap or the lobster tank, that's where I am. I have to tell you, it was one of the jobs I never laughed so hard in my life. The fellow that was my film partner on this, and every time the camera shut down, Robin Williams would go into his usual tirade of humor. Oh my God, it was brilliant. And at the end of the day, we said, oh, and we get paid for this. It was, that's my claim to fame anyway, sitting behind the lobster tank in Good Will Hunting. Let me see. It is medical child abuse to compromise a child before they reach the age of consent. Yes. Yes, it is. And when you hear these stories that, I knew I was the opposite gender when I was 3. is what I have to say to that. That's a crock. That is a crock. And one of the ways we can help with this too, at least I'm doing it, just throwing it out there. I refuse to use pronouns. I refuse to call any biological male a woman. I will not do it. I will not play this cis and turf and all that sort of stuff. I will not do it. The more of us that refuse to play that game, the stronger we become. And we become a force to be reckoned with. Really. Anyway, folks, that's all I can think of to share with you about tonight. Here's somebody. We've got another thing here. Another comment. I'm going to just move these dudes up to the top here. My niece wants to be a boy. She has been on hormones and wants surgery. My wife and I were critical of this, and my brother and sister-in-law cut us off. Oh, my God. They swore at me. I just turned 50 on Tuesday. No card from them. We are the black sheep of the family. I don't know who you are, but I'm very, very, very sorry that this happened to you. And bravo for doing the right thing and for speaking up. Really, I tip my chapeau to you because I know how hard it is when the world around you just wants to slam you for speaking up. And the reason people become so incensed, I think, with this is because they're defensive. They know you're right on some level, and they don't want to. They may not want to have to deal with their child, pushing and pushing and pushing. Plus, the schools are behind the kids. The doctors are behind the kids. The psychiatrists are behind the kids. The parents don't have a say. And so if they're being pushed by the medical community too, it's a rough ride for the parents. It really, really is. I ache for parents in this position, especially with the state interfering so much. This is where we really need to focus, folks, is the interference in the parenting when parents say no. In North America here, there's a man who has, by law, by the courts, he's been told he has to refer to his daughter as a son. And he even talks about his daughter in another conversation, and it's overheard. He can be fined or whatever. I mean, up to going to jail. This is how bad it's gotten. And for our U.S. friends, the Equity, I think it's the Equity Act. Do whatever you can to stop that thing from happening, because the next thing coming down the pike is to legitimize pedophilia. Legitimize pedophilia. That's what's going on, and they're going to be calling it, the new term is minor attracted person, or MAP. If you've seen that anywhere, that's what that means. And you see, if this passes, then it won't be considered a criminal offense. It'll just be considered, I don't know what the other offense is, but you can just get therapy for it. That's scary as hell. And in Canada, we've got Bill C-16 and Trudeau and all the nonsense that goes with the Liberals and the cons. And our other party in Canada, the NDP, has Morgan Auger, who is instrumental in getting the Rape Crisis Center in Vancouver defunded because they wouldn't hire trans biological males identifying as women as counselors. He helped to coach Yaniv, that guy that's going after 16S petitions. He attacked Walcott, who is with Mass Resistance, because Walcott misgendered him by calling him a him. He won $55,000 from the BC Tribunal Human Rights Tribunal that he has to pay Walcott because he misgendered us. Meanwhile, he is a man. So that shows you how crazy Canada is. Insane. Well, that same guy is running as an MP for our upcoming election with the NDP. People need to know this. Let people know. Spread the word. Oh, let's see what we have here. This person says, my child thought she was a cat till she was about 6 years old. She got over it. Yeah, exactly. Kids do this all the time, but they're looking for any excuse. Any excuse. And when the kids are being fed this grooming from drag queens at these young ages, they get confused right out of the chute. They don't have proper parenting showing them generally accepted societal standards. No, you can't be whatever you want. No, that's bullshit. It's just BS. You can't be whatever you want. I wish I was 5'9" and 100 pounds. I can't be that. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. No, I don't really wish that, but I'm just saying that to make a point. And Wendy's saying, so sad, Jack. I'm so sorry. Yes, I can't see that. Thank you, Wendy. I don't know. I can't see Jack. I don't see his profile, but thank you for that. And I am too, Jack. Wendy, when I was young, I was a horse. Yes, I grew up to be a horse trainer. Wonderful, Wendy. That's an excellent example of how you're drawn to it. You're drawn to that sort of thing, but you, like you said, you became a horse trainer. What a wonderful example. Thank you. And Anne, puberty blockers are a terrible idea. Yes, and they're not tested, are they? They're off, whatever they call them. I can't remember. They haven't been properly tested anyway. And Jack, I feel for you. Taking a stand for truth can be a heartbreaking, but oh so necessary. Yes, indeed. And puberty blockers haven't been properly tested. Yes, exactly. And they sure as heck haven't. I don't know. She's in zoology now. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if he's referring to Wendy or what. But anyway. And Wendy says, parental authority has been usurped by the government and the medical community. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Anne, MAP is very scary. Oh, you bet it is, Anne. You bet it is. And it's being forefronted with the drag and the trans things that are going on right now, the Drag Story Hour. And it's worldwide. The Drag Story Hour is worldwide. It's big money behind this stuff, folks, just pushing it. And Wendy, they have lowered the age of consent to 10 years old. What? What? But you can't drink till you're 18, right? And you can't vote till you're 16 or 18, and you can't drive a car till you're 16, somewhere around there. What? Ogre and Yaniv are having a dual handbag at dawn. Handbags at dawn. Yeah, very funny. On Wendy, that's called trans slender. Oh, I wish I was Brad Pitt, or should I be Leonardo DiCaprio? Yeah, take your choice. You know, you can't. You can see the insanity in all this, right? Oh my heavens, yeah. Wendy, puberty blockers were developed for short-term use only for children going through puberty at an abnormal age. Yes, Wendy, thank you for that reminder. That's exactly all they were used for. You know, and it wasn't an ongoing thing. It's only to help to retard it to a certain age. Exactly. Well, listen, folks, there doesn't seem to be any questions or comments or anything. Let me know if you thought this was okay. We can do it again, whenever you like, or we could talk. We could have an issue discussion and get some ideas and see what we can do as a group to try to spread the word to stop the insanity. So I hope that helped to give you a little bit of a summary of, what I found tonight. And I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. And you can be sure I'll see you on the page. Mwah. Bye.